What it do, flight crew? FTC. Flight team stand up! I'm too high to remember. It's November. We got Jimmy High Roller, the only man to beat Father Time. First of all, I hope you guys are having a wonderful Thanksgiving break, whether you're in school or you're on break from like work or something like that, enjoying time with the fam and taking the time to watch it so fresh, so clean vids and be entertained with everything else, etc., man. Hey, man, let's see what this is talking about.
As a proud and long-standing member of the LeBron Stan Club, I saw something the other day that completely broke my heart. And it came right from the king himself. A statement about the day that we all knew was coming, but desperately hoping that it never would.
How long do you think you could be playing at this level if you chose to?
Well, it's not me. Obviously, it's the mind. It's wherever my mind is how the rest of my body's gonna go. Whatever the case may be, I'm not gonna play that much longer. To be completely honest, I don't know how many years that it is. If it's 1 year or 2 years, whatever the case may be, but I'm not.
Damn, bro, this is crazy, bro. This is actually like, bro, LeBron's gonna retire, bro. Like, bro, he's been in the NBA since I was in 4th grade. Or, yeah, it was 4th or 3rd. Something like that, dog. Like,
I said the other night, I'm not playing till the wheels fall off. I'm not going to be that guy.
We've got about 2 more seasons to watch LeBron James play basketball.
Honestly, I say 4. I don't know why. I think, like, he's going to stay for, like, 4 more.
Finally hangs it up. And the show that we have spent the last 2 decades enjoying comes to an end. But what if it didn't? Instead of retiring as a great, productive, impactful, coherent basketball player, what if LeBron just played until the wheels fell off? What if he played until he wasn't good enough to play anymore? The point where he serves no value to any team in the NBA and he's hypothetically forced to retire as an unsigned free agent. Well, if you ask me, that's an easy one. The answer is never. My King's presence alone is worth...
Yo, Hollow, that was crazy.
But if we were...
But no, all jokes aside, like, I think, like no delays, like, LeBron has reached a point, like, in his, like, NBA career, like, even if, like, he averages, like, 5 or 7 points per game, which I don't think that will ever happen, but if he just hypothetically, like, ever did, like, down the line, like, just off the strength and, like, the image and, like, just team, like, any NBA team politics and just, like, you know, and stuff about, like, ticket sales and stuff, they're going to sign him off the strength of that alone. And it's going to be a good, decent contract and stuff. So that's actually, like, when it comes down to, like, sports athletes, and that's a lot of different athletes in all types of NFL, baseball, you know what I'm saying, hockey, etc. Like, I feel like somebody's legacy, when it gets to, like, a certain, like, you know what I'm saying, like, dimension, it's just, like, has, like, what is that word, like, forever value, if it makes sense.
Or to not look at this through the lens of a concerningly obsessive fan, how long could LeBron truly play before he simply wasn't good enough to be in the NBA? Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. To make any bets on today any fights. Every athlete is eventually defeated by Father Time. It doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how long you can stave it off, it inevitably catches up to everyone. Except for LeBron James. In year 22, LeBron continues to completely piss on every expectation and timeline set out for him and his career. Now approaching 40 years old and still one of the best players on the planet. There are grown, adult fans of the NBA who have never known a day without LeBron in the league. Matter of fact, there are NBA players who have yet to witness a
Drummond doing that was
season without LeBron James, including the one he literally created. Now, LeBron's perpetual reign is no secret. It continues to baffle most fans on a daily basis. And this got me thinking, how long could LeBron actually play before he's no longer at least a serviceable NBA player? The point where he's no longer good enough to even have a spot in the league. 6, 7 more years? Maybe until he's 50. I'm sure that number sounds like a stretch. After all, the oldest player in modern NBA history just barely hobbled his way to being a 44-year-old active NBA player. And LeBron has already been the oldest player in the NBA for a couple seasons now. But LeBron's refusal to play his age has gone on for so long now that at this point, it would be shocking if he did get worse. Here are 3 players and their numbers from this season. All really good, productive players. And I want you to guess who each of these players are.
Well, one of them's
statistically, they're all relatively close, but they shouldn't be. Because player A is early MVP candidate prime Jason Tatum, player B is Luka Doncic, and player C is 40-year-old LeBron James. And this is why people believe LeBron could play for as long as he wants. Because when you're in year 22 playing like two young megastars, the bounds of your capabilities long-term appear to be virtually limitless. Although LeBron has now suggested on multiple occasions that his retirement is looming closer by the day, how long would it actually take until LeBron is no longer an NBA caliber player? Well, first we need to know what not good enough is. What does a replacement level player on the verge of a Turkish league contract look like? No, not like statistically. What does it look like? According to Basketball Reference, a player with a box plus minus of 10 or more is an all-time great season. A BPM of 8 or more is an MVP caliber season. 6 or more is about All-NBA. Keep going down, and a BPM of -2 is where we'll find the end of the bench players. But even this number is still far too high. This season, players like Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, and Jaime Jaquez have a BPM of less than -2.
Jaquez from the Heat.
Until he's no longer invited back. If we keep going down the leaderboard, it's not until about -4 where we reach the bottom 15% of the NBA. Now, these spots essentially make up the last couple of players at the end of the bench. I want LeBron to play until he's down here, in the trenches. So how long would it take until he's at this point? It really is wishful thinking to assume LeBron could just keep going indefinitely. But history has shown even the greats are usually closer to the end of the road than we may think. In 2013, in his 17th season in the NBA, Kobe Bryant averaged 27, 6, and 6 a game, made first-team All-NBA, a top 5 player in the entire league, and was on track to playing the highest caliber of basketball we had ever seen from a player approaching 2 decades in the league. A couple injuries, and just 107 games later, he was retired and done playing basketball. In Tim Duncan's 18th season in the NBA, he finished the year 10th in MVP voting, 3rd team All-NBA, and a Defensive Player of the Year.
Not gonna lie, bro, Tim Duncan's durability is underrated, bro. Especially like on a big man like scale. You know what I'm saying? Like power forward, center. Like, bro, 18 seasons and he's always averaged about like 20 and 10 a game. And played his own game, then just chucked up threes, just like, you know what I'm saying, mid-range shots. Bro, if Duncan played in today's NBA, bro, yo, he's slick average like 35 because he'll just trick him with the mid-range and the 3-ball.
Your candidate. The very next season, he was putting up 8 points a game in 25 minutes. And within a season, he was out of the league.
Oh, he was putting 8 points up
his 17th season, led the league in shooting efficiency and made an All-NBA team. Just 90 games later, he was no longer an NBA player. When things start to go downhill, they go quick. But that's just it. Even after 22 years, things have yet to go downhill for LeBron. Here is a graph of the career progression of many all-time greats in terms of box plus minus, from their first season to their last. And right away, you'll notice a trend going on here. Here's Bird, Magic, Jordan, and Hakeem. Here's Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, Garnett, and Wade, extending their careers into or near the 2-decade mark, but still succumbing to the sharp decline that all players eventually face. And here are some current legends: Durant, Steph, Kawhi, Harden, CP3, and across the board, the general shape of most of their careers look very similar. A rise to superstar for their first 5 seasons, a prime that lasts from about season 6 to season 10 or 11. And then around season 12 or 13, the decline begins. Sometimes this decline is gradual and steady, like in the case of Durant and Duncan. Sometimes a player can find a second prime later in their career, like Stephen Curry has. But the best players of all time usually play the longest. And even for them, around season 17 or 18, the wheels completely fall off and retirement awaits. Except for LeBron. It shouldn't even be possible to be this good for this long. LeBron in year 22 is about as valuable and impactful on the court as most all-time great players are in about their 12th or 13th season. But we are here today for this number way down here, the dreaded threshold of retirement. And right now, LeBron is far from it. If he wanted to, could he play until he was 45, 50? Well, first and foremost, contrary to popular belief, LeBron is declining, and he has been for a while now. Some fans are saying LeBron is in his 4th prime and that he hasn't slowed down. And as much as I wish this were the case, It's just not. LeBron's true prime was between 2008 and 2013, a 6-year stretch where he led the league in win shares.
That's crazy. You don't have 2006?
2008 and 2013.
You don't got 2000s, bro. I remember, bro. That's crazy.
A 6-year stretch where he led the league in win shares.
I think 2006, like
PER, VOR, box plus minus, and just about everything else. Compare that to his last 6 seasons, and although he is still an all-NBA caliber player, it's really not even close. And this idea that he is still at or near his prime tells me people have forgotten just how incredible LeBron was at his peak. LeBron was so dominant in his prime that despite being 40 years old and about 70% of the player he once was, he is still one of the best players in the world. Now, like most other players, his game may just fall off a cliff at any moment, or he could sustain a bad injury that derails his last couple of seasons. But if either of these things were to happen, they probably already would have. So let's irrationally assume he continues to regress at the rate he currently is. If we take a look at what is considered to be the best all-in-one metric, estimated plus minus, then 2020 was LeBron's last true MVP caliber season. That year, he finished the season with the 4th highest EPM, behind only Harden, Giannis, and Steph. But since then, he's been slowing down. From being ranked 4th amongst all players to 7th in 2021 to 12th, 16th, a diabolical jump back up to 10th, and this season where so far he ranks 20th in the league, which still puts him firmly in the 96th percentile league-wide. Over the last 6 seasons, on average, LeBron's EPM has decreased by 0.5 per season, and this decrease isn't speeding up. If anything, it has leveled out and stayed about the same since 2022. But overall, LeBron's career trajectory has looked and could continue to look like this, where he will eventually succumb to father time like everyone else, just a whole lot later than everyone else. At this rate, by next season, LeBron will have an EPM of 3, a mark that puts him all the way down in the 95th percentile.
How would you know that, though?
By
you gotta wait till next season.
He'll have an EPM of 2.14, still in the 92nd percentile.
Bro, it's already on a 2027.
He will be in the 86th percentile. Year 26 in the 76th percentile. Year 27, the 61st percentile, which at the age of 45 would still have him as a starting
Bro, the year 2030 just sounds crazy.
Player. But by year 28, at the age of 46, LeBron would finally play his last year as a contributing player in the NBA with an EPM of negative 2.16. For perspective, some players that currently have an EPM within this range are Kyle Kuzma, Jackson Hayes, and Keldon Johnson. By year 29, just 1 year
put them on a
spot. Decades in the league, LeBron would, at last, fall within the range of a replacement level player with an EPM of negative 3.8 within the bottom 8% of the league. Wow. At the current rate LeBron is declining, he could, theoretically, play until 2031 at the ripe age of 46 before he would have to throw in the towel and retire. And as crazy as this timeline looks, LeBron playing until the year 2031, I think he could play even longer. To even make any sort of impact in the NBA, you need to get minutes. And to get minutes, you need to earn the trust of your team and coaching staff. LeBron has played so much basketball, and he understands the game so well, that I think as long as he wanted to play, and as long as he's able to get up and down the court without his body falling apart, he would get minutes, and he would be capable of contributing in the NBA. Earlier I mentioned Tim Duncan and how quickly his production fell off at the very end of his career. But even without game-breaking numbers, he was still a quality player, with advanced metrics and contributions that made him worthy of a spot in the league clear up until the moment he retired. Almost as if he was so seasoned and so skilled that even at his worst, he was still better than many other players in the league, even if he was a shell of his former self. And I think this would be the case for LeBron. Maybe instead of an exponentially rapid decline in the coming years, his game would hit its theoretical basement. And once it gets to that point, he just stays there. Nowhere near his best days, but still good enough to be a contributing player for the foreseeable future. The main culprit behind the retirement of every single great player was physical limitations and injuries. There has never been an all-time great player who retired because they lost their touch or the skill they once had. Players lose a step. They aren't as quick as they used to be, can't jump as high or react as fast, and they begin to ask too much of their body as it slowly shuts down as the mileage piles up. Late into their careers, they are only as capable as their body allows them to be. And no one in the history of the league has been more physically capable than LeBron. Throughout his entire career, he's been able to mitigate injuries, and even when he does get injured, he's always bounced back relatively quickly with virtually no lingering symptoms. And skill-wise, he's only gotten better as the years have gone along. I know, it sounds absurd, but I think LeBron could play for literally as long as he wanted to. I get it, it's crazy. We've never seen an athlete do that before. But LeBron is an absurd athlete unlike any other that we've seen before. So to answer the question of how long LeBron could continue to play in the NBA as a quality, contributing player, well, based on his current pace and some statistical analysis, if what we've seen is any indication of what's to come, then he could play for about 29 seasons. But based on my completely unbiased and always correct feelings and my admiration for the greatest athlete of my lifetime, I would say, somewhere between however long he wants to and hopefully forever.
Sheesh. Hey, man. Very informative video. Comment down below. What's y'all prediction? How long y'all think LeBron's going to keep playing? I'm going to call 4 more years. I'm going to call 4 more years, and then I could see him maybe, like, reuniting with, like, Cleveland in, like, his last year. And, hey, that's just my prediction. What do y'all got to say? Shout out to Jimmy Harrell.